जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी यशोनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी जय राधा कुंज विहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल श्री नाम संकीर्तन की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त वृंद की निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरे कृष्णा। इसको एक्सटेंड किया। ऐसे नहीं डुप्लीकेट हमको Hare Krishna. First of all, I would like to seek the blessings of all the assembled devotees. So, by the mercy of Vaishnavas, so today I got the instruction from Dinesh Prabhu that since nobody is there around today, so today Dinesh Prabhu instructed me to take class. So, actually I am not at all qualified to sit on this Vyasasana and to speak and glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead and Srimad Bhagavatam. But somehow as a service, I would try my best and would like to pray that whatever I speak, that is right word comes out at right time. And if there are any mistakes, if there are any offenses, please forgive me. So I would like to seek the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, especially all senior devotees like His Grace Bhaktivinoda Prabhu. So I request his prayers and blessings so that I can aptly glorify the Supreme Lord, Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is the verse for today. So we'll chant the verse 3 times and then we'll recite the prayers and then we'll start. Visible? Sarvam kala kritam manne bhavatam cha yad apriyam sapalo yadvashe loko vayuriva ghanavalihi. Anyone would like to recite?
Sarvam kala kritam manye
Sarvam kalam kritam manne
bhavatam chayat apriyam
bhavatam cha yad apriyam
sapalo yadvase loko
sapalo yadvashe loko
vayo iva ghanavali
vayuriva ghanavalihi. Sarvam kala kritam manne bhavatam cha yad apriyam sapalo cha vadshe loko vayuriva ghanavalihi. One more devotee. Sarvam kala kritam manne bhavatam cha yad apriyam sapalo yadvashe loko vayuriva ghanavalihi. Sarvam, all this, kala kritam, done by inevitable time, manne, I think, bhavatam cha, for you also, yat, whatever, apriyam, detestable, sapalaha, with the rulers, yat vashe, under the control of that time, lokaha, everyone in every planet, vayuhu, the wind carries, Iva, as, Ghana Valihi, a line of clouds. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In my opinion, this is all due to inevitable time, under whose control everyone in every planet is carried, just as the clouds are carried by the wind. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. There is control by time all over the space within the universe, as there is control by time all over the planets. All the big gigantic planets, including the sun, are being controlled by the force of air, as the clouds are carried by the force of air. Similarly, the inevitable kala or time controls even the action of the air and other elements. Everything, therefore, is controlled by the supreme kala, a forceful representative of the Lord within the material world. Thus, Yuddhisthira should not be sorry for the inconceivable action of time. Everyone has to bear the actions and reactions of time as long as one is within the conditions of the material world. Yuddhisthira should not think that he had committed sins in his previous birth and is suffering the consequence. Even the most pious has to suffer the conditions of material nature. But a pious man is faithful to the Lord, for he is guided by the bona fide Brahmana and the Vaishnava following the religious principles. These three guiding principles should be the aim of life. One should not be disturbed by the tricks of eternal time. Even the great controller of the universe, Brahmaji, is also under the control of that time. Therefore, one should not grudge being thus controlled by time, despite being a true follower of religious principles. We'll chant the praise. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshuru Militam Mena Tasme Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadameyam Dadati Shvapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakkamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaye Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopiyesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Shute Deve Pranamami Haripriye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So welcome one and all to a Sunday IYF class. So today we are discussing a very interesting section from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto. This is the section of Bhisma Dev, departure of Bhisma Dev. So very interesting and very valuable lessons can be learned from it. So let me share the PPT. So this is the section that we are covering today. So where Bhisma Dev pacifies Yuddhisthira Maharaj. So most of you might be knowing the previous background, that how the Pandavas along with Lord Krishna approached Bhisma Dev, isn't it? And Yuddhisthira had a very sorrow in his heart after the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, where lakhs and lakhs and crores of people had already finished due to the massive war. And after the battle, Yuddhisthira Maharaj won the throne of Hastinapur. But he had a very deep grievance in his heart. He was thinking himself to be responsible for all the great massacre that had happened. And that's why he was not ready to accept the throne. So you can just imagine that the Pandavas had to go through so much trials, so much tribulations, 13 years in exile, and after that a bloodshed war with their own family members. So such ghastly situation. And for this throne, for which they had fought this great battle, Yuddhisthira Maharaj is completely detached from any power, prestige and position. But what is he feeling? he is feeling the sorrow, he is feeling the regret that because of him, because of his lust for the throne, because of his greed for power, he had caused the massacre of several crores and crores, thousands and thousands of Hastinapur Vasis. So Krishna tried to pacify him. He was not successful. Then who else was there? They went to Vyasdev. Vyasdev gave very nice instructions from the scriptures. But even Vyasdev was not successful to pacify Yuddhisthira Maharaj. He was so much in grief. So finally Krishna instructed that let us go and meet Bhisma Dev, who is lying still in the battlefield on the bed of arrows. So all of you know how downfall of Bhisma Dev happened at the end of the 10th day of the war, isn't it? So it is a very great story. So if you narrate the entire story, it will be very difficult. But just coming to the crux, the essence of this pastime. So actually it was the plan of the Lord that the Pandavas, along with the different sages, Vyasdev, Asita, Devala, Narada, and all the different powerful rishis, they went to hear words of wisdom from Bhishma Pitamaha, isn't it? And if we read the previous verses, we can understand how Bhishma Dev was so eager to receive his guests. So when Yuddhisthira Maharaj, along with all the Pandavas and all the sages, they came to meet him, Bhishma Dev was jubilant. And as you know, what is the right way to honor your guest? First you have to speak words of wisdom. So first you have to welcome him, then enthrone him, make him sit on a throne, then wash his feet, isn't it? That is the proper etiquette how we receive guests. But Bhishma Dev was not able to receive any of his guests because he was on a bed of arrows. But still, because of his eagerness, because of his jubilance, he was respecting each and every one and all with smiling glances, and with his eyes, beautifully charming eyes, he was glancing at each and every one. In this way, he was welcoming each and every person who was assembled in that sabha. So that's how we can understand that how Bhishma Dev's heart was so much craving to have the darshan of Lord Krishna. And it was Krishna's plan to give his final darshan and to send his devotee back home, back to Godhead in this way, isn't it? So Krishna arranges specifically for the glorification of his pure devotees. And what a devotee Bhishma Dev was, isn't it? He was not an ordinary devotee. So as Krishna says, Mahajano yena gatasa panta. So Bhishma Dev is one of the 12 Mahajans. And why is called a Mahajan? We can see Bhishma Dev took the side of the Kauravas. He fought against the Pandavas. And he had taken a vow that he would kill all the 5 Pandavas single-handedly. Although Krishna didn't let it happen, but he was against the Pandavas. Then why Krishna puts him on the title with the title of a Mahajan? Anybody? All of you know this, but still, like some of you might be new. You want to share, Ravi Bro?
Because he wanted to exchange the being with the Lord.
Yeah. So Bhishma Dev was not an ordinary devotee. So what kind of character he has? So we can understand. So the position of a pure devotee is that he is ready to serve the Lord in any circumstance, isn't it? In any condition, isn't it? So that is the state of unconditional devotional service. The meaning of unconditional devotional service is no matter what the situation is, no matter what the conditions are, a pure devotee of the Lord is ever ready in any circumstance to serve him. So just for an example, all of us are practicing sadhakas, isn't it? So as a practicing sadhakas, what is the proper etiquette? We'll put tilak, we'll put kanti, we'll wear dhoti kurta, and that's why then only people will call us a Vaishnava, isn't it? But that is not the case for pure and exalted devotees like Bhishma Dev, isn't it? So if taking the side of the Kauravas and being misjudged throughout his life, even life after, even after he leaves his body. So the character of Bhishma Dev is so much controversial, he is misjudged throughout. When somebody reads Mahabharata, so he will come across this controversy of Bhishma Dev. And likely that he will misjudge his personality. So Bhishma Dev is ready to take all such criticisms, all such misjudgment, but the only desire is, if Lord is pleased in it, if Lord Krishna is happy with my being on the opposite side, with my being misjudged by each and everyone, yes, my Lord, I am ready to accept that, isn't it? So that is the symptom of surrender, isn't it? So what is surrender? And even Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given a very nice term for it, that is called as Sharanagati. The Sharanagati means that no matter what the situation is, the circumstance is, my Lord, you are my master, and my only desire in my life is to please you. Therefore, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in one song, he sings, Atma nivedana tuva pade kori, hoinu parama shukhi. Dukha dure gelo, chinta na hoilo, choduike ananda dekhi. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings like that when one surrenders himself fully at the lotus feet of the Lord, so that situation is called as Atma Nivedana, isn't it? You have given up completely yourself to the service of the Lord. Then what happens? That Hoinu Parama Shukhi, that I am the most blissful, I am the most happiest person in this world, isn't it? So as a conditioned souls, we are trying to find happiness in so many things. Even after coming to devotional service, that we are not so much convinced. We think that there is still some happiness in the material world, isn't it? So time and again, we look back. If I had cracked this exam and then came to devotional service, might be I would have been more happy, isn't it? Or might be if during my placement I would have been more serious during the time of placement. Little less chanting would be fine, but if I had been a little more serious in my academics, now I would have been in a better situation, isn't it? So sometimes we feel like that and we try to blame that, okay, might be due to this, I am doing little bit extra devotional service, I should reduce and little bit focus on my material life also, then I will be happy, isn't it? So generally, sometimes we fall into such thoughts. But the position of a pure devotee, he has completely surrendered himself at the lotus feet of the Lord. He says that when I am completely surrendered, when I have nothing, no other shelter other than the Supreme Lord, then I am the most happiest person, isn't it? And what is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying? Dukha dure gelo, chinta na rohilo. Dukha dure gelo means all my miseries, all my sufferings, they ended just by taking your shelter. Chinta na rohilo. I don't have any other plans other than serving you, my Lord. And then, chaudi ke ananda dekhi. Everywhere, in all the four directions, I see only bliss and happiness. So that is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur sings. And that is what Bhishma Dev exemplifies in his character in the battle of Kurukshetra, isn't it? Just to give pleasure to Lord Krishna, and just to, like Lord Krishna wanted to show, even a character like Bhishma Dev, who was the greatest and the greatest of warrior, if he takes the side of adharma, then surely he has to fall down. So that is the message that Krishna wanted to convey to the whole world. And who else is a better person than his own pure devotee like Bhishma Dev? So in the purport, Prabhupada writes in the upcoming purport that if the mother wants to teach anything to his daughter-in-law, so what is the way? She scolds her own daughter, isn't it? Because she knows the own daughter, she would not mind, because that relationship is so much sweet, that relationship is so much loving, that her own daughter would not mind, even if she scolds her, chastises her, isn't it? But with this, the daughter-in-law will get a lesson. Similarly, if Krishna wants to convey a message to the entire world, then he will teach it through his own pure devotees. So whatever we see as depictions in Mahabharata, in Bhagavatam, where pure devotees, they are taking an opposite side, or they seem to be very confused or bewildered, just like the state of Arjuna, or just like the state of Bhishma Dev. They are not just because of their own misgivings or their own fault. Just like in this case, the state of Yuddhisthira Maharaj, that he is appearing to be very sorrowful, grief-stricken and bewildered. How can Dharmaputra Yuddhisthira, who has served dharma throughout his life have a confusion of dharma? So actually it is not possible, isn't it? And how can Arjuna, who is having Krishna by his side, get some confusion in his heart whether I should fight this battle or not? And how can Bhisma Dev, a pure devotee of the Lord, take the opposite side? So there is only one reason to this, that is the will of the Lord. That is the will of the Lord to showcase to the entire world that what is the glory of my pure devotee. Okay? So that is the position of Bhishma Dev. So do you remember, like many of you have studied Srimad Bhagavatam, doing many courses, any such personalities, any such character other than Bhishma Dev who has portrayed such an exemplary surrender or sharanagati towards the Supreme Lord? Any other character you remember? Yeah, Vitrasur. Yes, what did Vitrasur do?
Even though he was pure devotee, but he was taking the side of devils to defeat him.
Yeah, so Vitrasur was, who was Vitrasur? He was Chitraketu Maharaj in his previous life. And in his previous life only he has attained the stage of Bhava, isn't it? After serving Lord Shankarshan. And by the will of the Lord only he got cursed by Mother Parvati, and in next birth he became Vitrasur, the demon, isn't it? So as a demon, that what is our natural inclination is to fight the demigods, isn't it? Kill them, eat their flesh. Then have you seen any demon who is vegetarian, pure vegetarian, avoiding onion, garlic? Isn't it? As a demon, your role is to, you have to eat the flesh only, isn't it? And break all regulative principles, because that is the body that has been given by the Supreme Lord. But still, Vitrasur was no ordinary demon. So anybody can misunderstand his position, isn't it? From externally, it doesn't look like a devotee wearing tilak and kantimala, but internally in his heart, he was fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Okay, very nice. Any other example you remember? Bali Maharaj. So very nice example. So actually Bali Maharaj is the symbol of this principle of Sharanagati, Atma Nivedan. So what did Bali Maharaj do?
Lord came and even the spiritual master told like, no, he rejected the spiritual master itself and gave everything to the Lord. Even after that, Lord condemned that, you want to save something for yourself. Even after that, he fully surrendered.
Yeah, so the surrender of Bali Maharaj was so great that when this our Vaman Dev, he initially asked only 3 steps of land. And you know how Vamans look, they're very small, isn't it? So just 3 steps of land Vaman Dev asked. And Bali Maharaj is telling that, take kingdoms, I'll give you islands, I'll make you the king of one island, like that. And why just like people will, what will people think of me? That I cannot give proper charity to a Brahmana, I can give only 3 steps, people will laugh at me. So please ask something more. But Vaman Dev told, no, just 3 steps of land is sufficient for me. I am just a Brahmana, I just need my small land and I have to do my bhajan only. So I don't require any more. So then Bali Maharaj told, I will arrange for big asuras and you can measure 3 steps from their feet. So Bali Maharaj told, no, that is also not required. Just give me what I want. And then Shukracharya, who was the priest of the demons, was the guru of the demons, he came and spoke to Bali. Bali, you have not yet promised, you have not yet told Om Tat Sat, so your promise is not yet valid. You can come back on your promise. He is Vishnu, he will take everything from you. So don't fulfill his promise. Then what did Bali Maharaj think? He think that if Vishnu is coming and asking something from me, I am ready to give my whole kingdom. I'm ready to give my whole life. What to say of 3 steps? Let him take whatever you want. You keep quiet. You are not a bona fide guru. A bona fide guru is one who teaches us how to become devotees of Lord Vishnu, isn't it? So if somebody is teaching us how to go against Lord Vishnu, so we can reject him, just like what Bali Maharaj is showcasing in this example. So then our Vaman Dev, he measured 3 steps of land. From 1 step, he covered all the lower planetary systems. From the 2nd step, he covered all the higher planetary systems. And then he asked Bali, you promised me 3 steps of land. I've covered entire universe using my 2 steps. Where shall I put my 3rd step? You are a cheater. You need to be punished. And immediately Garuda came and bind Bali. And even the demigods were bewildered by this pastime of the Supreme Lord. Even Lord Brahma came down and prayed to Supreme Lord, "Oh Lord, this Bali Maharaj has given everything, whatever he was in his position, he surrendered unto you. So please don't treat him like that. What will people say? What will people call you? You are the Supreme Lord. You need to be kind and compassionate. But if you act in this way, people will misunderstand you." But the Lord never changed his mind. So actually the Lord doesn't care about lok lajja at all. So he doesn't care what other people think. So he is ready to even break his promise, to even be criticized. But what he cares about, how his pure devotees will be glorified more and more. So just to bring out the glorification of Bali Maharaj, Lord enacted this pastime. And finally when Lord asked that where shall I put my third step, what did Bali Maharaj tell? There's only one place remaining in this whole universe that is unclaimed by you, that is my head. So please, oh my Lord, please put your lotus feet on my head. So that is how Bali Maharaj exemplified his Atma Nivedan towards the Supreme Lord. And we can see similar example in the case of Bhisma Dev as well. So today we will be discussing how Lord Bhisma Dev pacifies Yuddhisthira Maharaj by explaining that everything that happens in our life, mostly whatever circumstances, whatever bad situations we go through in our life is actually a function of Kala, actually a function of time. And one who is a devotee of the Lord, he is not disturbed by this circumstance, isn't it? He is happy even if Lord gives him distress and suffering in his life. And he is happy even if Lord gives him so much opulence and so much happiness in his life. He is the same. He is not disturbed by it. Because he knows whatever is happening happens due to the inevitable will of the Supreme Lord in the form of time. Okay? So we can just see the summary of this discussion. So this is Radhesham Prabhu's PPT. I took it from that. So very nicely he has summarized that karmis, demigods, pure devotees, all are subjected to Kala in different ways by the Supreme Lord. And they also decide the behavior of Kala differently. Yeah, so even this time factor is so strong that even the strongest and the strongest of demigods like Vayu, Chandra, Indra, Varuna, they are also defeated. And how? So in the same verse that we recited today, just like wind is driving the clouds, so easily even the greatest of the demigods, they are destroyed or they face difficulties when they face the Kala, the Kal Roop of the Supreme Lord. And even with power of piety, personality, weapons, strategy of management, with Krishna at the top, Pandavas suffered, isn't it? So what is the reason? The Pandavas were pure devotees of the Lord, isn't it? Even Kunti Mahani, from her very beginning, they were worshippers of the Lord and they were pure devotees. They did not have any other material desire other than to serve the Lord. But still then, why did they suffer so much? Isn't it? So Bhishma Dev initially he was glorifying the Pandavas. Aho kashtam, aho anyam. So you have suffered so much misgivings, you have suffered so much difficulties in your life. And that it was so distressful that nobody can survive also in that situation. And with Lord Krishna in your side, still you have to go through so much troubles. And how can we understand that? Then Bhishma Dev says that's due to the function of inevitable time. And as we can see here, Lord wanted to establish virtue over vice. Lord wanted to prove that those who are under the shelter of the Brahmanas, piety, and the Supreme Lord, they can never perish. So nothing bad will befall on them. They will always be protected. So therefore in one verse, Bhishma Dev mentions that Vipra Achyuta Ashaya, that one who takes the shelter of Dharma, Vipra and Achyuta, so they are always protected. Okay? So we'll just look at this verse and read the translation. So don't speculate about what is inconceivable. So there is no point in speculating that what is the cause of my suffering. that what bad karma I might have done in my previous lives, that today I have to go through these sufferings. So, and why this devotee is behaving so rudely towards him? Sometimes we think that although I am such a nice devotee, I do my services very properly, still why do devotees come and find fault with me? Isn't it injustice? What kind of devotional service this is? Where even after we give our heart, even after we give our life, still nobody comes and glorifies me. Everybody comes and finds fault at me, isn't it? So sometimes we face these circumstances, isn't it? So that is very common. And actually when we go through these situations in our life, we should very rightfully feel that actually this is all arranged by the Supreme Lord, isn't it? For our own purification. So, and even so, Bhisma Dev is telling, just stick to cooperating with Lord's wishes, strictly sticking to religious principles, guidance by bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So if you are doing these three things, Dharma, Vipra, Achyuta, Ashraya, if you are strictly adhering ourselves to the shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna by chanting His holy names, by taking the guidance from Brahmanas, that is how we can do that. By regularly coming and attending Srimad Bhagavatam class, by reading Prabhupada books, by asking questions to senior devotees, we will be firmly fixed in the shelter of the Brahmanas, and by strictly following the Dharma, that is the Yuga Dharma, that is the Harinam Sankirtan, then we'll always be protected. So nothing bad can happen to us if we are under the shelter of Dharma, Vipra, Achyuta and their ashraya. Okay? So and finally, what Bhishma Dev brings out the point of Deva Tantram. So what is that? That is the inconceivable will of the Supreme Lord. So the Lord's will ultimately prevails. And we should be 100% guaranteed in our mind that if we are on the path of devotional service, that we will be definitely guaranteed protected. Isn't it? So Krishna gives that promise in Bhagavad Gita. What is the famous shloka? Yes, Ravi Prabhu, please recite. Okay, last two lines. Kaunteya pratijanehi name bhaktya pranashyati. Isn't it? So what Krishna says, so in the previous verse Krishna says, what is the exalted position of my devotees? He says that even if a devotee commits some mistake, isn't it, we should not misjudge him. That is what Krishna is proclaiming in Bhagavad Gita. Apiche shudaracharo bhajate maam ananyavag sadhu revasya mantavya samyak vivashito hi saha. That even if a devotee for some time, due to some mistake, due to some previous conditionings in his life, he seems to get deviated from this path of devotional service and commit some mistake, we should not misjudge him. He still should be considered as a sadhu because he is on the right path. Isn't it? So just like that, yesterday we were discussing that this Krishna conscious movement is so nice that you just happen to stay here for some time, that you will get the mercy of devotees so much that you will get transformed from a chowkidar to a thikedar. So it's so blissful that initially you might land just like a small devotee, like washing the vessels in the kitchen, or sweeping the floor, or brooming or doing temple or cleaning every day. So might be after some years you might be asked to come and sit on the Vyasasana and give class. So that is the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord. That if he just sees a inclination, slight inclination in the heart of this jiva. Jai Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki, Varangi Bangalore Ishwar ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. If he just sees some slight inclination in the heart of his jiva that yes, this devotee is interested enough to join Hare Krishna movement, he will make all the facilities, he will arrange all the facilities so that he will become a sincere devotee. And even in this path, if he happens to commit some mistake, the Lord, what he is telling? He will get punished. Obviously, he will get some small amount of punishment as well. But the Lord is ready to forgive and overlook all such mistakes in the heart of his devotee. Isn't it? That's why the Supreme Lord is called as Adoshadarshi. What is the meaning of Adoshadarshi? That he never sees the bad in anyone. He always sees the good. So although we have so much anarthas in the heart is contaminated with full of lust, greed, anger, pride, illusion. But still, why we are able to perform devotional service, chant the holy names of the Supreme Lord, and every day attend, come for Mangalarti, is because we have the mercy and the blessings of the Supreme Lord. If that is not there, then you just try for some days what it means to practice devotional service alone in seclusion, isn't it? Just give up association of devotees for some time and just try what it means to become a devotee, isn't it? Although we might be practicing for many, many years, even I experience when we go to home for some days, it's very difficult to get up early in the morning. What to say about chanting attentively, attending Mangalarti on Zoom, things become very difficult. So therefore we should understand it's because we are strictly adhering to the principles of Dharma, Vipra and Achyuta. So that's why we are what we are today. Otherwise, we don't have any hope. Okay, so we'll see the verse where Bhishma Dev mentions this. We'll recite the verse, and that is also one of these very important verse in this section where Bhishma Dev pacifies Yuddhisthira Maharaj. Yeah, this one, verse number 12. Aho kashtam aho anyam yad yuyam dharmanandanaha jivetum nar ata klishtam vipra dharma achyuta ashaya. So very important and very famous verse from this section of Bhishma Dev, where Bhishma Dev is saying, oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustices you good souls suffer for being the sons of religion personified. So who were Pandavas? They were just not ordinary human born sons. They were all born from great devatas, isn't it? And headed by Dharmaraj Putra, Yuddhisthira Maharaj. So how can they have some confusion or some doubt about Dharma? But what Bhishma Dev is saying, that even though you are religion personified, still you had to go through so much troubles and injustices in your life. You did not deserve to remain alive under those tribulations, yet you are protected by Brahmanas, God and religion. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning, Maharaj Yuddhisthira was disturbed due to the great massacre in the battle of Kurukshetra. Bhishma Dev could understand this, and therefore he spoke first of the terrible sufferings of Maharaj Yuddhisthira. He was put into difficulty by injustice only, and the battle of Kurukshetra was fought just to counteract this injustice. Therefore, he should not regret the massacre. He wanted to point out particularly that they were always protected by the Brahmanas, the Lord, and the religious principles. As long as they were protected by these three important items, there was no cause of disappointment. Thus Bhishma Dev encouraged Maharaj Yuddhisthira to dissipate his despondency. As long as person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of the Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and strictly following religious principles, one has no cause for despondency, however trying the circumstance of life is. And Bhishma Dev, as one of the authorities in this line, wanted to impress this point upon the Pandavas, isn't it? And see, this line is so important, that till the time we are guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and in cooperation with the will of the Lord and the Vaishnavas and strictly following the religious principles, and for our case, it is the four regulative principles and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. If you are following that very strictly, there is no cause for despondency in our life. No matter what happens in our life, some devotee misjudges us, criticizes us, or let's say we face some setback in our life, there is no cause of despondency because we are always protected by the Supreme Lord, isn't it? And Bhishma Dev, as one of the authorities in this line, and as Bhishma Dev, as a Mahajan, one of the 12 Mahajans, he is proclaiming, he is making this point, and they wanted to impress this point on the Pandavas. Okay? And in the further section we'll see that how Bhishma Dev, he will glorify the Supreme Lord. He will express his desire. What was his desire? Why was Bhishma Dev eagerly waiting on this battlefield, although he had the boon of Ichha Mrityu? What is the boon of Ichha Mrityu? That he can leave his body whenever and wherever he wants. He need not depend on somebody to slit his throat. He can live whenever he wants. So he had that boon of Ichha Mrityu. But why was Bhishma Dev tolerating so much pain of lying on the bed of arrows? Can anyone imagine you are sleeping in the night on your very cozy foam with your blanket and there's one pin that is pricking you from your back? You will get sleep? Impossible, isn't it? And on the same time, Bhishma Dev, he was on the bed of arrows. And why did he choose to lie like that? Because that is the apt respect for a Kshatriya like Bhishma Dev. He himself requested Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, now my end has come." You know how Arjuna defeated Bhishma Dev? He had to shoot so many arrows in his body. And there is a beautiful pastime how with the help of Shikandi, and that was actually the plan of Lord. Even Bhishma Dev himself revealed to Arjuna that how he could kill me, isn't it? So that's how great devotee he was. He was not attached to his body. He himself revealed a secret of how Arjuna can defeat Bhishma Dev. And Arjuna, during the 10th day of the battle, Arjuna had to pierce several arrows in his body till the time that Bhishma Dev was paralyzed. His body was made useless. He was not even able to lift his bow to fight. Till that time Arjuna had to pierce arrows on his body. And when finally Bhishma Dev was defeated, he fell down from his chariot. So that time it was just like a pause in the fierce battle of Kurukshetra. Even the Pandavas and even the Kauravas, all of them came down from the chariots to pay respects to Bhishma Dev. And at that time Bhishma Dev said that, "Oh Arjuna, please build me a bed of arrows where I can lie peacefully," isn't it? And be a witness to this great battle. So that is the apt respect for a Kshatriya like Bhishma Dev. Okay? So Bhishma Dev was eagerly waiting and awaiting when is the right moment, when is the right muhurta to leave this planet. And who was he waiting for? Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And that was his only desire. That when can I leave my body by glancing at the beautiful face of Lord Krishna. Isn't it? So it might be possibly in your next classes, we will go through a very celebrated portion and very famous portion of this Bhishma Parva, that is the Bhishma Stuti, where Lord Bhishma glorifies the Supreme Lord in very beautiful verses, isn't it? He starts with Itimatir Upakal Pita Vitrishna, isn't it? My mind is hankering now to absorb myself in your glory, isn't it? And my eyes are waiting when can I glance on the beautiful face of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that will be coming next. So that was the character of Bhishma Dev. And yes, as we were discussing the character of Mahajans, isn't it, from Srimad Bhagavatam, can you just relate to the character of Bhishma Dev from any other character who left his body in a similar way from our scriptures? Yes, you understood the question? Like similar parallel lines like Bhishma Dev who left his body and in the presence of the Supreme Lord. Correct, Haridas Thakur. If you see, the passing of Bhishma Dev is very similar to the passing of Haridas Thakur, because Haridas Thakur also, he waited and waited for the Supreme Personality Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and expressed his desire that now my body is useless because I am not able to chant my 192 rounds, isn't it? So have you ever felt that we are not able to chant my 16 rounds, so my life is useless? So that is the difference. So Haridas Thakur told, now my life is useless, now my only desire is to live in the presence of you, my Lord. And we know that how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he made a celebration by carrying the body of Sri Haridas Thakur and dancing with it, and finally taking it to the banks of the ocean in Jagannath Puri, and there was a big festival. And similarly on the lines we see our own founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, how he left his body. So even passing of Srila Prabhupada, even the life of Srila Prabhupada is compared to Bhishma Dev as well, isn't it? Because Srila Prabhupada also till the end of his life, till the end when he was in his deathbed also, he never left his service, isn't it? The same service, the same desire of his spiritual master, which he wanted to fulfill, he never left that. What was that? translating Srimad Bhagavatam, isn't it? Till the last breath, he was continuing to do his service, isn't it? So that is the glory of Srila Prabhupada. And from Bhisma Dev, we learn several lessons, but one important lesson that we learn is how can we take strict vows in our life, isn't it? So this is the month of Kartik, and so yesterday was the first day of Kartik, and during the month of Kartik, all devotees, they are expected and they are also very enthusiastic to take vows, isn't it? And we know what is the glories of the month of Kartik, and especially if you take vows for and if you take vows in the month of Kartik, then it will enhance your bhakti like anything, isn't it? Devotional service. But if you want to keep your vows, then you should follow the footsteps or even learn the lessons from the life of Bhisma Dev. So what is the meaning of Bhisma? Why was he called Bhisma? His original name was, any of you know? Devavrata, isn't it? But he got the name of Bhisma because he took a Bhishan vow, isn't it? What was his vow? To remain a celibate throughout his life, isn't it? If you can do that, that is very nice. But still, what we can understand is that from the life of Bhisma Dev, that we should keep our vows very strictly, isn't it? And especially what happens, that we start with some vow, in the middle of the month of Kartik, we feel that it has become too much now. Might be I should reduce it a little bit. And by the end, the Kartik month ends, we give it up. Okay, next time we'll see again, like that. But because today is like the day, just the beginning of this Kartik month, we can all pray at the lotus feet of Bhisma Dev, isn't it? And pray to him that he bestows his blessings on us so that we can make the vows of Kartik successfully this year, isn't it? So not like last year when we started and we ended with the month of Kartik. So, and some of you who are new devotees, coming up devotees, so it can be, so it need not be a very strict vow, isn't it? Just like I'll eat only once in a day. Some devotees are like that. So if you are able to do, it's very nice. But it can be very simple vows as well. Just like offering a lamb to Lord Damodar every day. If you vow like that, so that has immense potency. So it is told that one who offers a lamb to the Supreme Lord in the month of Damodar, he'll get the destination back home, back to Godhead. It is mentioned in the scriptures. So even a simple vow like offering a lamb every day to Lord Damodar is also very effective in this month of Kartik. And then you can take some vows like chanting few extra rounds or reading Prabhupada's books every day or not to offend Vaishnavas. That is also a very great vow, isn't it? So to give up the judgmental mentality, to find faults with others is an innate disease in our heart. So in this month we can take that in this month, by the blessings of Vaishnava and Bhisma Dev, I will not find faults with anyone. So that is also a very big vow. If you can keep it till the end, so it's also very, very effective and helpful in your devotional service. So you can start with some simple vows, and if you can keep it till the end of this month of Kartik, you are sure that you have got the blessings of the Lord Krishna in the month of Damodar. And especially this month of Damodar is the month of Srimati Radharani, isn't it? So Srimati Radharani is the presiding deity of this month of Damodar, month of Kartik, isn't it? And if you pray to Srimati Radharani, or Srimati Radharani, please help me to keep my vows, please help me to engage properly in this devotional service, then surely you can go on with your devotional service nicely. And the best way to do that is to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is the prayer where we are praying to the divine couple, Radha and Krishna, isn't it? Srimati Radharani, please engage in the service of Lord Krishna, isn't it? Especially in this month of Kartik, if you chant in that mood, praying to Srimati Radharani in her own month, so what can be the better way to serve Lord, the Supreme Personality of Lord in this way? Okay, so that is the glories of the month of Kartik, and I pray that all of you have a very nice month of Kartik, and many of you might be going for Yatra also, because Kartik month, if you go for the Yatra of Holy Dham, that is also considered very, very auspicious. So it is also very required that when we go for yatras, when we go for the holy dhams, our mood should be, how can I take benefit of this stay in my holy dham, isn't it? Not how can I get more comfortable with a geyser or an AC or with a rickshaw, isn't it? The only focus should be, how can I absorb myself in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, in the teachings of Lord Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, residing in this holy dham, in this month of Kartik. So that is also very important, okay? So I pray that all of you can follow a nice Kartik Vrata and take full benefit and advantage of this holy and auspicious month. Hare Krishna. So anybody, any questions, comments or corrections? Feel free to please ask. And if you feel that something as might have spoken is not correct, you can please also suggest me. So any questions? No questions? Okay, no questions are there. So we'll end this class we'll sing one song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And it's a very nice song. Actually, we'll sing also, we'll understand the meaning also. So that exemplifies the mood of Sharanagati. Okay, so yeah. So this is a very beautiful song that all of you know the 6 limbs of Sharanagati. What are the 6 limbs of Sharanagati? Who can tell? All 6 at once. Yes, Narsimha Prabhu. Loudly. Okay, whatever you know.
Accepting the things which are favorable to devotional service, rejecting which are unfavorable to devotional service.
Yeah, that is 1, 2. Others? First is Dainya. Dainya means humility. So because we were discussing the topic of Bhisma Dev, so therefore we can discuss a little bit about Sharanagati also, because Bhisma Dev exemplifies Sharanagati in his life, isn't it? So first is Dainya. Atma Nivedana. Atma Nivedana we discussed, isn't it? Then Atma Nivedana means to surrender fully unto the Supreme Lord. Dainya means humility. Gop Tripte Varan. That means, Lord, you are the only maintainer. There is nobody else in my life except you. And Bhakti Anukula Matra, Karjata Shikar, Bhakti Kulo Matra, Pratikula Matra, Varjan Angikar. Whatever is favorable in my devotional service, I'll accept that. And whatever is unfavorable, I'll reject. So that is the symptoms of Sharanagati. And this song that we'll just sing and understand the meaning, that represents that limb or pillar of that Sharanagati, where Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that whatever is favorable, I'll accept, and whatever is unfavorable, I'll reject. So we'll sing. Mostly we'll understand the meaning also, because this song is very, very nice if you understand it very nicely. Tuva bhakti anukula je je kaj hoy parama jatane taha koribo nischay. Bhakti anukulo jato vishaye samsare koribo tahate rati indriyer dare. Shunibo tomaro katha जतन करिया देखिबो तोमारो धाम नयन भरिया. So in these 3 lines, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning, Tuva Bhakti Anukulo Je Je Karja Hai. Very simple to understand if you understand Bengali. So whatever is favorable in my devotion, in your devotional service, I'll accept that. Padama Jatane Taha Koribo Nischay. I'll do it very carefully. I'll not let it go in vain. Whatever is favorable. So like for us, whatever is favorable in devotional service, chanting in Brahma Muhurta, isn't it? So we should do it very carefully. We should be very, very serious when we start chanting our rounds, especially after Mangalarti, sitting in the temple hall in front of Tulsi Maharani, isn't it? Bhakti anukulo jata vishaya samsare koribo tahate rati indrera dare. So what is the meaning of indrera dare? That I will put a wall in front of my sense and sense objects. Sense should not run towards sense object. It should run towards Krishna, objects of devotional service, isn't it? So by putting a barrier in front of senses and the sense objects, I will direct my senses towards your devotional service. Shunibo tomaro kotha jatana koriya. I will hear more and more about your pastimes, about your glories. Dekhibo tumara dham nayana bhoriya. With my eyes, I will see the holy places where Radha and Krishna has performed his pastimes. Okay, so we'll sing next. Tumara prasade deho koribo poshana naivadya tulashi gran koribo grahana karo dare koribo to mara sheva shada tomara vashati sthale boshibo sarvada tomara shevaye kam niyogo koribo tomara videshi jane krodho dekhaibo. Very beautiful meaning, isn't it? First, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that whenever I take prasadam, so I will maintain my body only with your prasadam, not with any other substance. So whatever is offered to the Lord, I will only accept that. Naivedya tulasi grahan koriba grahan. I will only smell the tulsi which is offered to you, isn't it? Karodare koribo tomaro sheva shada, isn't it? And my only engagement should be service to you, my Lord. Tomaro vasati stale boshiba sarvada, isn't it? And I will only come and reside in the temple of the Lord, in the temple of Lord Jagannath, isn't it? Tomara Shivaye kam niyoga koribo. Whatever lust is there in my heart, whatever passion is there in my heart, where I will redirect? I will redirect it only to your service and nowhere else, isn't it? So that is the desire of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and that should be our desire as well. Tomara videshi jane krodha dekhaiva. And whatever anger, the contamination of anger is there within my heart, I will redirect it to those who are envious of you, those who blaspheme you, isn't it? So we should not keep quiet when we hear blasphemy of the Supreme Lord, isn't it? To hear the blasphemy of the Supreme Lord is also an offense, isn't it? And the best, if we can counteract that, is very best. Otherwise, we should run away from that place. E rupe sarva vritti ar sarva bhava tuva nakula hoye lobhu ko prabhava tuva bhakti anukulo jaha jaha kori tuva bhakti anukulo bhuli taha dhori bhakti vinodo nahi jane dharma dharma bhakti anukulo tara ho shava karma. E rupe sarva vritti ara sarva bhava. So like this, whatever inclination, vritti means whatever passion, tendencies, inclination, desires, material desires, fruitive desires there in my heart. So they all should be engaged in your service, my Lord, isn't it? And nowhere else. Tuva bhakti anukulo jaha jaha kori, tuva bhakti anukulo boli taha dhori. Whatever I do, so that should be favorable to your devotional service. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, nahi jana dharma dharma. I don't know what is dharma, what is adharma. What is good for me, what is bad for me, I don't know. But only thing what I know is whatever is favorable for your devotional service, that should be my engagement. Okay. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Hare Krishna. So we end here today's IYF class. Thank you for your patience and tolerating me. And we would pray that all of you can practice your Kartik month, vratas, and have a very nice Kartik month, nice yatra, and nice spiritual enlightenment in this month of Kartik. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Now it's time for Mahaprasadam. I know devotees are very hungry.
Still okay, we have to glorify. Hare Krishna, let us thanks Rounak Prabhu for bringing out so many blessings from Bhisma Deva pastimes, and also Prabhuji sang a nice Vaishnava song related to the Sharanagrati. Let us express our gratitude by loudly chanting 3 times Hari Bol. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! We will have again in future also from Prabhuji's.
When nobody is there.
Special classes will be there in Sri Vasanga.